It's what I'm feeling tight when you're by my side, girl. Let me tell you the truth. It's the way the voices in high definition. Take a picture of you, three big glasses, make you an invention. Baby girl, you will rock with me. Keep me by my side, you will stuck with me. It's what I feel tight when you're by my side. When you touch me, when you touch me, ready for fire, ashes, 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 random down. Say better, oh me put fire, random, 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 random. Tell you together, now I'm soon, I'm not one of a number. You're my number, what's gonna become my wife? Random down, random down. Tell you together, now I'm soon, I'm not one of a number. Now I'm number, tell you to swallow, tell you to finger, tell you to sola. Baby girl, you will rock with me. Keep you by my side, you will stuck with me, girl. If I'm not feeling inside, you know by my side, girl. If I'm going to that, the way I'm it's got you in my life, you know. She not a lot for me. So I do this simple thing for her. That she give me one, everything she do give me one, you know. She's a child for that good. What they know? Okay, man. Ate muloza mini kupate bivudemu. Mini Cooper ebivuddemu ebiganye. Mini Cooper means according to my manufacturer, this is where I stop. I tell you Mercedes Benz in a Chagina CLS 350. I don't like that car. I don't like the shape. But good morning, my people. How are you today? I hope you guys are doing well. Muyombia Mark to see me Eddie Karota Uganda Nick Waboye and Dama Desmond Walugembe Geoffrey Ben Kako Juma Adi Rashid Jagenda Zas David Klaje VIP. Good morning, Chintu Mark Vubia Edgar Paul Sema VIP. Good morning, George Bob Lubura Chris Fitness. Good morning. Mini Cooper bivuddemu. Mini Cooper kujja kukompadde ya bwerere. Atera njivuge eri endala yange eri kumpi awo nyine muroka zesepankako nga ne bwogiragala buteyina mukwano gwayo. Mini Cooper actually you men Mini Cooper mwina kugityanga bwe muti abakazi abakyotala. A friend of mine yalaba saa but you never ever take what I say. I need you. But you know what to do every day. And look my world, it goes around and round. I love you so, I need you so, I never leave you so. Girl, I tell you this every day, every night, that I really feel you, I can't deny. Give us a chance, you and I. Give us a chance, you and I. Watch on him, nothing's gonna last so long. Time does not wait. Okay, man. In 2008, Mr. Okeman 0-1. Summertime in Uganda. Come on. Something that you guys have not put your mind to. You see, for us that drive a CVT now, you know there are a number of modes. You have the parking mode, you have the reverse or R mode, you have the N or neutral mode, you have the D or drive mode, you have the 8 or S or sport mode, and you have the B which I like to refer to as the engine braking mode. It's like the beast, B for beast. You have all those modes. And for the guys that have drive automatic, you have the PNR, PRN, you have D, you have 2, sometimes you have 3, you have 2 and L. There is a reason why those gears are separated. And you're supposed to drive in D or drive mode. Whenever you're driving, you're not fighting anything, you're not doing anything out of the ordinary of driving, you're supposed to use D. Only Cambes network ereba tutte. Story sigena jikomya wano njimala yencha mwe. Story tuzo jimala yencha. Tuzo jimala yencha. But you are supposed to drive in D. Because you're driving an automatic. You're supposed to put your car in D and drive to let the gears shift the way they were meant to shift. Simanyo bontegera. When you put your car in D, that means you have made it, you have put it in the automatic mode. That's why some cars is in the auto manual mode. You can drive it, you shift to M. That now you have shifted it to manual mode. And then you can shift the gears yourself. Even if you've shifted, you put the car in M or manual mode. So network. I was saying, if you're driving an automatic or CVT gear, a CVT gearbox car, always drive in D. My car, your car, everyone's car, as long as it's automatic or CVT, it should be in D. It should not be in 2. It should not be in S. It should not be in L. It should not be in B. It should be in D, because D mode is the automatic mode. It shifts all the gears that it was meant to shift. When you're driving an automatic, you let the overdrive be on, so that if it needs to shift all the gears through, it can shift it. It needs to come back to a stronger gear, it can come back. Now, I was saying when the network cut me off that there are cars that have manual mode. They are automatic or CVT, but they have the manual mode, yeah? Now, when you put your car in the manual mode, you're supposed to shift the gears manually yourself. Now, if you put the car, the CVT automatic car, mostly CVT, in manual mode and you don't shift the gears yourself, or shifting, because it realizes you're not shifting, and the car is safer when you're shifting. Now, I've seen people and I've heard people that when they are driving, like up this hill, you want to give it more power, so you put it in L. The gear number 2 and gear L in automatics are meant for specific things. Yeah. For example, number 2 and L, they give you just power. They either help you brake with the engine brake, or they give you extra power in certain cases when you need that power. For example, you're going up a very, very steep hill, and by very, very steep, I mean it in the case of very, very steep. There are 2 or network keeps putting me off, and sometimes I don't even know when putting me off. So I was saying that gear 2 and L in automatic and gear B in CVT, they were meant, and gear S, they were meant for specific uses. Here where we are, there is no reason why anyone should be engaging gear S or gear B or gear 2 or 3 or L in automatics. You call it an automatic because you let it decide. The moment you want to decide for it, it should be for a specific reason, which is why those gears are separated. And like I was saying, I don't know if the network took me off. There are people that reach slopes or hills, naga take him number 2 when it's not actually needed. You're spoiling, or you know now. People that are driving, especially the small cars, atoka kaso zingatedi nyaburunji, Nateka mutu, that's okay. Wateka mutu over B. That's acceptable, okay? Because the car is not going, so it needs like strong or towing power. So when you do that, that's acceptable. But when you don't need it, the car knows you don't need it. What happens when you engage the S gear or the gear number 2 or gear number L or B is you take away the ability of the gearbox to shift gears. Okay? Now, when you don't give the car, which was meant to have the ability to shift gears, when you don't give it the power that was given to it, you can spoil the gearbox, you can spoil the engine. One of the things that happens when you don't let the automatic car shift gears automatically by either engaging gear 2, L, B, or S over a long period of time is that one of the things that will happen is that the car will overheat. The car will what? The car will overheat. Your gearbox might actually be safe, but the car will overheat. Because once, the people that have driven manual cars, you know this, that if you drive a manual car and you leave it in gear number 2 over a period of time, you have to park it. You get, or you drive, it's natural for the guys that have driven manual cars. It's natural when you're going very fast. Actually, me, if I were driving a manual car, even now I'd be number 5. It not only helps you save fuel, but it also cuts down on the stress the engine is taking in. Now, when you put your car in the designated gears in automatic or CVT and drive it over a long period of time, you're going to spoil your car. Now, that's a similar situation happened with the Alphard, and it's unfortunate that it happened. Right now, we are working on the extremes of spoiling. Now, I was not there, so I cannot confirm. Okay, but it happened. The gentleman that bought, and is a very, very, very ardent member of the community here, he bought the Alphard, and he had a friend of his, and this friend was the one driving the Alphard. Now, they drove very well from Kampala. They even bought 2 tires that they are going to put on the car. They were in jam in Busega for like an hour, and all was well. Now, the trouble came on the express when they were driving, and the driver decided to put the car in gear 2. Now, you know how fast you can go on the express. So he put it in gear 2 okujiwa amanyi. Na ajirinya. Bwa ajirinya, emoroka nechamuka. It overheated. Now, I can confirm that there is no other reason that made that car overheat other than driving it in gear 2. If a car overheats, there is no way a car that overheats can stay in traffic jam even for 20 minutes with the engine running and it doesn't overheat. Techibanga now. You get it? But if it doesn't overheat, you drive it from Kampala, you go and get stuck in jam for like an hour and the car doesn't overheat. And then at the time when you're driving on a highway, you engage a gear you're not supposed to engage on a highway, the car overheats. That's the situation that I want us to explore. We are going to explore it in a very short period of time, but by the time we are done, each one of us will have learned a thing or two. The one thing you guys need to understand now is that gear number 2, which you're understanding it, that it's engine braking or towing. Gear number 2 was never meant for driving mode. Okay? The only time you should engage gear number 2 is if you're on a very steep hill or tisenyo and the car needs extra power. Or you're going down a slope and the car is very fast and you don't want to put strain on the brakes and you put in gear number 2. Musivity, you have gear B. That's the one. So I got a call at around 11 p.m. and the gentleman told me, Arthur, we are stranded at the express. The car has overheated. Normally, when we buy a car and someone calls me and the car has an issue, it startles me. And normally when someone calls me and the car has a problem that I inspected, the first thing that crosses my mind is, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I did nothing wrong. I knew I did nothing wrong. But at that time, we did not know anything. And normally when they call you, and I think the panic mode is also bad. So he called me, and immediately when he called me, I asked him what happened. And they did not know what had happened. And at that time, I did not know that the driver had even driven into. I did not know that. Well, that was never told to me. So when they called me, I sent this gentleman, the express. You know, the express has an emergency contact. So you can call their number and they send you a van to come help you. Maybe if you run out of fuel, or if your car breaks down, they can even send you a tow truck. So I send them the number, and when they explain, I think they tell them Katubawe is a tow truck. So what happened? 2 cars had overheated on the express. Yeah. 2 cars had overheated on the express. Now, for a car to overheat on a highway like that, there are only two cases. Either your radiator had no water, or your radiator ran out of water because it had no cover, or it had a very serious leakage, or in this case, which is very rare, you drive badly, which is what happened. And at that time, I did not know it was bad driving. So when they called me, I just told him, don't try to start the car again, because I've been in these situations multiple times. And the one thing I'm wondering, guys, I think we have to we are going to collaborate with SPK Driving School, and we do refresher courses to know what you need to look out for when you're driving. The Alphard has a temperature gauge. Kalimi, katambula kati. So before that car overheats, you can actually see the temperature going up. It's not like our practices of Vitz or these new cars where you don't have a temperature gauge, so you don't even know when the car is starting to overheat. Now, one thing, guys, abavuge temperature gauges, always look there. Because when you look there, you can see that your car is going to overheat even before it overheats. The one thing why I'm saying it was a case of bad driving is, even if the car was overheating, it was very easy for you to see, because it's sawa mulimu akalimi akaraga overheating. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So I'm wondering how the driver missed that, because normally when your car goes beyond the half park, park, it did not park. But anyway, it's okay to veer you. So when they call me, immediately I tell the gentleman, you know what? Don't try to start the engine again. Guys, if your car ever overheats and you have realized it's overheating, park aside, stop the engine, let it sit for 1 hour, and don't try to start it again. So there and then I thought that's what we should do, because I've been through these situations so many times. The trouble that happens when your car is almost overheating or overheats, the worst thing you can do is to try to start it again. Dr. Kasune Matia, you're laughing. We don't have temperature gauges, but our cars don't overheat. So stop, don't try to, because if you start the engine when it's in overheating mode, the gasket is going to be fried. The gasket is in between the engine block and the cylinder head. So when the gasket gets fried, wagenda kubera a mixture of oil and water. Oil afuke wa amata. Okitegeera. Oil agenda kufuka wa amata, and you don't want that. So I told them to stop the engine, because within me I knew that even if the car had, and at that time I was thinking, if it were normal overheating, if we let the car sit for some time, we will put coolant or water and we'll start again and then go, because that happens a lot of times. I did not know the situation, but later on it refused, even when the tow truck came. So they towed them and took them to, I think, somewhere in Entebbe there. And I called the mechanic and I told I told my mechanic, you know what? Tomorrow morning, Kera yogi no checha to tomorrow. Now, when the car overheats, majority of the diagnosis normally happens when the car starts. It has to start. So if you park it for an hour, can you start it? Daniel Mark, it depends how severe the overheating was. Now, if the overheating was severe, the car will not start again. This is what happened this time. The overheating was really severe. The gasket was fried. Now, when the gasket gets fried, the car starts bringing compression into the radiator. You don't want that. So the next morning, the mechanic went to go see the car, and they explained what happened. And that's when I learned that the driver had actually driven in gear 2 on the express. Guys, never do that. Never, ever, ever do that. That's why when your car doesn't change gears, you are advised to let it be. Because a moroketa chusa gear, it will overheat and kill your engine. Because katechisoka, the engine is working really hard in high RPMs. You know how I tell you that to save fuel, drive below 2,000 revs per minute? Guys, double tap the screen, you're 41. We have only 30. Double tap. Just double tap your screen like this. So the thing that happens is when you drive in a big gear like gear number 2, emoroka egenda kutuuka mu gear ziri ezawaggulu ng'erimu mu revs 13, 14 egendera ddala mu 15 because you're on a highway, you're going really fast. Let me give you an example. Have you ever been going down a slope and you were going really fast and then you let the accelerator go? You realize that even as you're not stepping the accelerator, the revolution meter actually still goes up. Have you realized that? So that's what happens when the car, and so what happens when you drive in a big gear on a highway is that the revolution meter will go, the engine will be overworking. What happens when the engine is overworking? You see the water pump. Water pump pumps water throughout the engine, and then it goes back to the radiator to be cooled. It goes back in the engine, goes back in the radiator. It has a system that it works with. And that system will work with the engine. Now, when your engine goes with the RPMs that are too high, the water will reach a time and it doesn't cool, because the higher the RPMs, the higher the engine works. That's why a car that has been driving for a very long time, yes, bagamba togura on a radiator because the water is still boiling hot. The car's been overworking. Now, what happens when you drive your car in very high RPMs? The water will stop cooling the engine. That's number one. Number two, your engine will thin out, your oil will thin out. You know, I've told you time and again, oil, when I had a sample here. When you're putting oil, you put 5W40. So it means the thickness when it's hot is 40. The thickness when it's cold is 5. Ontegeya, chitegeza, if your car is old, you put oil that is thicker at hot temperatures because that's what you need. Osegeira. But when your car overheats, your oil will become watery. When your oil becomes watery, it goes through the engine without lubricating. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It stops lubricating. You guys have eaten meat. When the meat sits down and gets cold, the soup will get solid particles of fat, right? But when you boil it, the fat will become liquid. That's what happens with your oil in the engine. So when you run your engine with a big gear, high RPMs, the oil will boil and will become liquid. Tukenga, it's no longer lubricating. There are parts that need to be lubricated. The pistons, you need to lubricate the bajita shaft, the engine shaft. Bajita bata muluzungu. Muluganda bajita shafter. So the shaft is where the pistons. Let me see. What can I use here? I want to get an example. Baragideko. I had a pen. I think I can use a pen. So So this is what happens. I think I can actually draw. I have a lot of receipts here. Let me see if I can use. No, let me use this book. I don't know if my drawing is going to be accurate, but this is what happens. In under the engine there is something that was made like this. Is it like that? Like that? Like that? Yes, like that. This is what they call the shafter, driving shaft. No, not the driving shaft. Yes, JK engineer, crankshaft, but nango ruzungu. The crankshaft, I think it's shaped a little like this. So piston is equal to wano, ne wano, and as big as it goes, then zigenda zikwata kobo izichu. Now, the crankshaft has the baita, I don't know why they call them bearings. Abaganda bamanyi okubiyita obulungi bazita piece in the main. The piece PIS, they go to the piston, and then the mains zisigara yeno wansi ku shaft. Those things need to be lubricated. That's how the shaft keeps moving without damaging either the piston or damaging itself, because the shaft ebera mulimu mwezo zebaita bearings. They are not really bearings. They are not. You get, but it keeps moving. It needs oil to lubricate them. Now, when your car overheats, what is going to happen is that those bearings are not going to get, they are called journal bearings. Nazo bearings. No, so what happens is when they don't get lubricated, the way they are supposed to get lubricated, is the bearings zigenda kufa. Now kata tutandisogenda end stage overheating, because the first stage overheating is your gasket gets burnt or fried, and then the cylinder head gets warped. That's the normal overheating. When it's normal, bajjako cylinder head ne bagisala ne batekako ne bagula gasket era ne bagitekako. Normally that should solve the issue with your engine. But if that doesn't happen, and that is normally done ne bwe betabudde, of which the Regia, I mean the Alphard yabadde tetabudde. Kat when it goes beyond that, kitegeeza nti ziri bearings zisobola okuba nga zaali fried. Now, this is what happened with this car. The overheating was solved. Makanika navuga namu. He even sent me videos. Naita ne bannanyini moroka nabaga mujje tuvuge mujitwali. Kati bavuga they are on the bypass. They even drove ne bagenda paka bweyogede kati baba bakomawo. The oil temperature, the temperature lamp came back on. The temperature light came back on, and when that happened, he stopped. And when he stopped, nabagamba mumanyi mugende. He knew it wasn't that good. So under those circumstances, then the crankshaft might need to be refaced, but a piece in the main. So that's how far it can go when your car overheats. That's how far. That's why normally, guys, I tell you, radiator yange. These engines here, because the engine block is actually okay. Actually, buyajize yayononyeyo n'emikono ebiri eja piston. Ati muganda wange. The overheating. One is the reason why sometimes when we buy a car with someone and they are not comfortable driving, I give them a driver. Is one, because the driver I'm giving you knows how to drive. Even like the people that normally go long distances, they ask me, I get them a driver. And the driver takes you up country. Now, if a driver cannot even notice a temperature gauge going up, or it have a driver mulungi, it's a fact. And it does not matter why the car is overheating. Guys, your eyes should be here every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, your eyes should be here. Why? Because overheating has dire consequences for us. We will end up spending a lot of money. So any good driver
kati naddala ate kati fa batalina temperature gauge. The moment any temperature light whether blue or red comes on, park. Toddamu nakuma mmoroka eyo gikola kigwe park ngateeka muda indicator ne bw'oba mu kkubo. Omusirikale ajja kugambe omugambe nedda. This is the issue with Alphard with a 2AZ engine. We had one that could not turn on a second cooling fan. You see, normally with these cars, the second cooling fan is the AC fan. It's not really the radiator fan. The big fan is the radiator fan. The second fan is the AC fan. So even if it doesn't work, the car should still be cooling up. Okitegeera. So kati fani yokubye ebeera ya AC ebiseera ebisinga va kubuno omoroka bafu butono obeera ne kafani akamu. Yes, Richard, the car was tested very well. The car was tested very well. And the thing that changes the entire story is driving the car in gear number 2 on a highway. That changes everything. Nebo ebeera ovuga moroka ya manual. You cannot drive a manual car in gear number 2 only. Bananga abantu avuze ku moroka za money, I think they would know what I'm talking about. That's one of the dangerous things you would do. The AC fan was coming on, but the driver was not using AC on. I've seen it here. There is another car that someone bought. It's thingy Vanguard. It came from the bond. It's not even 2 years old, and it almost overheated. Okay, it overheated a little, but for that one, it overheated. They parked. When they parked, I sent them a mechanic. The mechanic drove it in Pora. When they got here, they got the radiator out, tested the fans, and one fan was not working. And the thing with some engines, when one fan goes off, even the second one will not work. You get? So what we did is we bought another fan and put it there. But this car had overheated, but still, we put the fan, put new coolant, and they went. And it works up country. Bazungu bibajivuga. Okitegeera. So that happens. But let me tell you one thing you guys need to pay attention to is the temperature. Obutalina kudda mu kisaawa kyo, there is a engine oil lamp, the temperature lamp, yeah. Obutala buli very important. Obulala bonna busobola okugira ne engine check. But engine check sometimes is a very small thing as long as the performance is not affected. Normally when the engine check comes on and the issue is severe, the engine will lose power. But if the engine check light comes on and the car doesn't really lose power, but of course mufa abayine moroka ez'obutala bwa gundi ezitayina temperature gauge, engine check will come also parking okebere. But sometimes as long as the engine doesn't lose power, the engine check light can be abana ba Benz bazivugirako abago, you get. But the two lights that are very important, or the two situations where you should not take it for granted, is temperature and oil. Temperature and oil. Obwo butala bubiri tobuzanyiranga namu. Actually, akataraka oil kobe, when you start your car in the morning, akataraka oil ne kalwawo. Like, let me start now. 1 second. 1 second like this, your temperature oil lamp should go off. If you start your engine and the oil lamp doesn't go off in 1 second, you should get your mechanic to check your car out. Kitegeza oil talinya mangu oba talinya bulungi. My advice is that please don't overhaul that engine as it is aluminum head. Once it overheats abnormally, just replace the complete engine. I have a Vanguard. Temperature rose and immediately parked and realized that the radiator cap was not tightened well. I allowed the engine to cool and added water and then drove off. Exactly. Thank you, Douglas. You need to look at your clock all the time. Okitegeera. Severe overheating can be stopped in all cars. It can be stopped. It doesn't need to get to severe. Like Douglas has said. If you see that the temperature is rising, kati abaina obulimi, akalimika temperature should be at 50% maximum. The moment it goes, I drove a Benz, the C200. Nga akalimika suka mu 50. Ninga bagaya akalimika nunga kasuka mu 50. Emoroke ntecha mukambwa wekabela. The car overheated. So me, one thing that I don't take for granted, because it can make you sleep on the road, is the temperature. The moment you see the temperature rising, park, let it cool down, top up the coolant or water, and then you can drive off. But still keep monitoring it. And guys, if your car ever starts reducing coolant or water, pay attention to it. It's not something that you should ignore. Sometimes the coolant reduces because your cooling system has a leakage. Sometimes because your car is in starting stages of overheating. I think drivers should have smelled burning fuel mixture with oil smell. It happens when you're driving in D2 for longer periods. So it means the driver didn't smell both, I think. Some drivers are just not too experienced. Until the moment the driver doesn't actually see the temperature gauge. There is a friend of mine, he overheated. Overheating. It was my car. Overheating akayongeza kange. And I asked him, because akayongeza kaina temperature gauge. I said, didn't you see the temperature gauge? He said no. Then I asked him, didn't you smell the car? Did you smell the overheating smell? Because that smell is there. And he said no. You get it? Just some people don't know how this. I have to find a way to explain the overheating smell. And maybe the person who sold it to you, you guys knew about it. Alphard, no for me. Let me tell you, Samuel, let me tell you one thing about overheating. And this is, I speak out of experience. There is no car that overheats that can drive from Kampala. We bought that car in Bugolobi. There is no car that overheats that drives from Bugolobi and goes through the Entebbe Expressway toll without overheating. And it overheats when you're almost reaching Entebbe. Because it overheated when they were almost reaching Entebbe. Teri Moroke overheating. Nevuga neve Kampala. Negenda ngegenda tuka Entebbe. Ne overheating. I tell you. And the light of oil, when you park for a long time, it takes time. No, Henry. No, it should not. 3 minutes? No, Henry. Let's get that car checked out. 3 minutes? 3 minutes, that oil is not going up. 3 minutes? The maximum kare katugamenti kare. Oba wateka oil, we should be 2 seconds. The moment you start the car like this, the first light that goes off should be the oil lamp light. Now, when it doesn't go, if the oil lamp doesn't go off immediately, things can happen. For example, you put very, very heavy oil and it doesn't go through the sieve quickly. It waits for the engine to like warm up and boil the oil so that then it goes up. Or 2, your oil pump is faulty. The oil pump is man. It takes time. Or 3, you have the oil pump akakatimba ko the bakaita bati oba mu luzungu akakatimba nze nkaita sieve kalimu of metal particles over that and it doesn't go through. I know Dr. Kasule, that's possible, Henry. Nti oil go kozesa muzito nnyo the oil strainer. Nekana kakamulo tunda bakaita strainer, that one. Bakaita strainer. So anyway, guys, one thing you guys need to understand, if you drive a motoka, no jikuba ko express, nebo jikuba bypass, teri moroka overheating evuga bypass, ne mumalako ne tuke busega ngate overheating ze teri yo. Okujjake moroka eza diesel zimanyo okukikola kuba moroka za diesel fan etambulira ku engine, ne moroka kati nga bolaba beams basobola okulokinga fan bagira okingira ku engine. But other than that, ne moroka endala teri yo moroka gyosobola vuga ne malako northern bypass ne ingira express no jivuga express no ita waliwo bufo ita mwawonze sibubanyi manya no genda no tuka ngo tuka Entebbe ne lyoka echamuka. No, that's a no. I can tell you. I told you, Mama Baniere bitukeka kisanikira. We drove 30 kilometers And then the car started showing signs that the water was heating up or the car was going to overheat. 30 kilometers. Under those circumstances, there's no way I'm going to come and say, Moroke no way atandika okuchamuka. Teyachate yatandika. Etandisaawo. Okitegeera. It's just that you did not notice. Amaaso gababeere mu kisaawa. Amaaso gababeere mu kisaawa. Okitegeera. So, Henry, you need to get that car checked out. Basooke booze mu katimba. Oil bamuyiwe booze mu katimba. Bamala okwoza mu katimba. Mukole service otekemu oil omutuufu. Oil gw'obadde otekamu aba muzito nnyo. You know those Shell guys? They normally will tell you the oil. They will tell you the cheap oil. Nenga ate Moroke ezimu the cheap oil is not good for it. Unofuna oil nga si muzito nnyo. Or there is an oil leak and engine losing oil pressure somehow. So the oil light takes time to disappear. And kat Samuel Isaac, it's possible until nakebera oil nga mwali. Nenga when, but you check the oil, Henry. You check the oil levels. And guys, you need to come to the Lab for Cars convention. We are going to have, you guys have heard of Engineer Kaside. He's like one of the biggest diesel engine mechanics in Kampala. He's writing an article in our magazine, an article on how to take care of your diesel cars. He's also going to be there at the convention to tell us. Exact true. The guy who told you knew. I had a Harrier with 1MZ, but you could refill water every morning. But when I sold, I didn't tell the buyer. It overheated 2 days after. Nekuba ne radiator. Waliyo jivuga distance chi, Chairman Zach. Waliyo jivuga distance chi. I will tell you how I test those old cars. How I test those old cars. Bwembanze njivuga. Nze mwenyine I make sure to stress it. I stress it nenjitwala kasozi nenjirinya nenjimala. That's why we have never had those cases of overheating, because we know how to test those cars. Nti ojirinya no, the first thing actually we check when we are testing those cars is fan eri ku direct oba eri ku automatic. Fan eri ku emoroka bogisanga nga fan eri ku direct. Emoroka bwebera nga fan eri ku direct, emoroka eteku kubanga yali yachamuka mukko. Na ye to mitigate that ne bagiteeka ku direct. Emoroka bwebera nga fan eri ku automatic. Emoroka ya fan eri ku automatic like mine. For example, my fan is on automatic. If the AC is not on, I will start the engine and there will not be fan. The fan will not be there. Now, when I engage the AC because I have one fan, now the fan is on. Either when I switch off the AC, the fan will go off. Now, emoroka eri ku fan eri ku automatic. When you start the engine, ne running for like a minute, fan ne maana egendako. One, ekyo kiba kikulaga nti emoroka overheating. Then kati awo kyokola ekirala kikwe kugistressing n'ogivuga n'ogirinya olusozi. Mbayigiriza kati ebintu ze byenkola nga nkebera emoroka mugenyi mu ekeberere. N'ogirinya olusozi n'ogimalayo, you race it, you rev it. Okitegeera bw'ogireving emoroka eyo ne ku lusozi nga fan era tennajjako ngeri ku automatic, bw'omalayo bw'oti nejjago, it comes at the normal time it's supposed to come, then that car is actually not overheating. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So I want to really understand that sometimes the people that are selling these cars to you know, but as long as you check, and ne olaba ne ku Subaru, the Subaru guy yavuga n'agenda paka Iganga, emoroka ne overheating ile Iganga. Era naye bwe yakuba essimu kye yasooka okugamba, after the person that sold us this car knew that it overheats. Okitegeera, it overheats. Kakati emoroka ekyamuka, guys, tosobola kuvuga emoroka ekyamuka n'ogijja e Kampala n'ekyamukira eyiganga ne tekiriyo. I saw some electricians bypassing the high pressure AC switch to put fans running on always. Anti Uganda Chairman Zach, e fan baba bagitadde ku automatic ku manual, baba bagitadde ku direct. Ekiteese fan eyo ku direct kwe ku avoiding emoroka okuchamuka. Okitegeera. Yeah. Henry, you check you should get 3 minutes. Akatana ko tekaina kuweza ya the second zesa tu. Tekaina. It's either the oil pump is getting old or it's already old. Okitegeera. Or oil obanga akatimba kachafu basoke boza akatimba bweboza akatimba and it persists then you have to buy an oil pump. That's totally normal. Yes, Bylon, this discussion is very important. Guys, I will teach you this. Todanga mu n'okukibuusabuusa. Emmotoka erina fan nga it's on automatic. By automatic, I mean the fan comes on and goes off, comes on and goes off, comes on and goes off. It means that car is normal. How do you test if a car has overheating issues when the car is on automatic? You start the car, you let it run for like 5 minutes. If it's in one place and it has not been rest or revved, the fan will not come on because there is no reason for the fan to come on. How do you test that the fan is working properly? If the car has AC, you just engage AC. Fan egenda kujjako. Now, after that, you drive it at high revs. Ojirinyisa akasozi okakase katimba yigirizo kebere moroka. Ojitwale, ojirinye. Now, normally when that car, the fan comes on, the temperature gauge doesn't go. Apete kati moroka ezobuli mizonyangu. Karate, if someone had bought a car that has no temperature gauge, nechamuka, there I would say, maybe I missed something. I did not miss anything. And also, if there was no case of driving the car in gear too, normally when people call me Zenga because they hire me, well, there's information they never tell me. But somehow they open up to other people. And that's how I get my information. Because when I was called, I wasn't told about this driver driving in gear too. Guys, nebo chikebera ku Google. Ufa abavuze moroka za manual we know. Nze I've ever driven a car nga clutch in full. Bovuge moroka nga clutch in full. Ojivugayo kilomita nga 5-10 and you park to let it cool down. No damu no kubira mu gear, no jivuga. Okitegeera. Richard Damu, I'm not saying my Mark II was bought. Yange bagigula dda. But someone told me they are selling a Mark II. Wano omusajja atunda Mark II grand eri ku UBC yagambibwa million oba 12 oba 13. So I did not put my attention to it because serabika bulungi. Did the mechanic inspect the condition of the thermostat when he got to the shop? Zach, the thermostat has no problem because what happened when they took the car to the garage, the first thing normally they do, because you first have to get the car start running, the budgetary facing, basa the cylinder head, never take a gasket, the overheating doesn't happen anymore. So the overheating issue is out. Now, the issue is the oil. When the car goes into severe overheating, the oil pump can get affected. So oil pump yefude na inokubira replaced. In very severe cases, the bearings, gundi yazisatya JK, the bearings will die. I don't know why they call them bearings. The bearings will die. And in very severe cases, the shaft will get damaged. Those are very severe cases. The shaft will get, because a person that doesn't pay attention will actually take that. But because the oil temperature, the oil light comes on and goes off, comes on and goes off, comes on and goes off. It really stresses me a lot. And under normal circumstances, I would wait until I had waited, because when they worked on the overheating issue and it got done, that's when I wanted to share the story when we have solved the issue. But we did not solve the issue. The issue now is and the car was running properly. You see everything, but now it's bearings. So we are trying to find a solution for that and to make sure that the car gets running, because the Morocco again up country. I don't regret joining this channel. I thought the issue was normal. It's not normal. Katugegamba mechanical asoka jeyo the crank case asoka yuze akatimba. Okitegeera. Ayoza akatimba mutekemu oil omulala. Then muna amalo tekemu oil omulala. The bearings, because they aid in lubrication and friction with moving parts. Yeah, let's see what happens. But that's what happened. Now, one, I wanted to share this because whenever some people actually think it's normal. Some number bid no jongira amaji nefune chibuli guys. Automatic cars should be driven like automatic cars. Irane bosala okuvuga motoka manual. Bujiteka mu manual mode like the Mark X's have been driving a couple of days ago. The Mark X bujisa mu manual boy no jichusa gear. Taina clutch but you can change it. Which take right? So what happens is when you're driving an automatic or CVT car, jiteke mu D or Jason way. If your car ever stops changing gears, park it. Because now, if your car stops changing gears, the gearbox is faulty. If you stress it, even the engine will die. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. But what car do you recommend for electronics retaining the Encha, guys? The questions should be for tomorrow. It's already an hour, guys. So it's I think the Alphard issue has really put me down. I feel very bad when someone buys their car na atajivugamu na jivugamu because yajigula si yajivuganamu. Okitegeera yajigula si yajivuganamu. And we have bought Alphards, but there is an Alphard that we bought even from a carbon kenali ntira ddala no ngankatya. Manyi waliwo ifo yogenda mga carbon waliwo carbon kemanya abali bakoze ko na inspection bamanyi every time otugenda oba White King oba broker kina atutwala mu kagundi ako atwala mu carbon kemoro kembi, but we have bought 2 cars from there. The last Harrier old model we bought it from that carbon. The Alphard is an Alphard we bought about ajula million 19 chitundu. We bought it from that carbon and we have never had issues. So I feel bad when someone buys their car na atajinyumirwa. That's the thing that I had with the Subaru when it got the ABS issue. That's why I'm telling you that if you're buying a Subaru Impreza, avoid the 2012 model. The 2012 model has those issues. There is a person I inspected a car for recently. Young number, he had the Subaru Impreza 2012 model and he had to sell it because of that ABS issue. The ABS issue can go as far as disturbing the gearbox. So avoid the 2012 Subaru Impreza. It has that issue. So when that Subaru, but the lady was really, really patient. They don't know, Mami Alphard was patient. But the Subaru lady was really patient with the ABS issue until the bond person. That ABS control bajigula $1,500. The bond person, he bought it at $1,500. And what the option we had given the bond guy, because the car was moving very well, it's just that the ABS light was on, and what other thing was the speed meter was not going up. And because we had bought it, I think we delayed in taking back the car. I told the lady before Christmas, we can take the car back now and renegotiate, but the guy will give us a car after Christmas. And the lady did not want to go for Christmas without her car, so she drove the car for Christmas. So by the time we went back in January, I think it was a little late. And the guy said he was willing to give us a replacement, but he had to try all options. So we gave the car to his mechanic, and the ABS was not in Uganda. It wasn't in East Africa. So I don't know where they bought it, but they bought it $1,500. And finally they gave us the car and it's in perfect working condition. So that one was resolved. The overheating issue of the Subaru, that one was also resolved. So some of the issues, we solve them. When I do inspection, I obviously do after sales service to make sure that you're very comfortable. The Mark X nayo, yaina the pressure, it was a pressure switch issue. Eventually it was solved. Nayo neterera kati nayo bagiziza ewanyinyo nayo ekola bulungi. Yeah, so but those things happen. But with the Mark X, it had an issue with battery agatta some electronic components there. We solved that. One thing I've realized with cars is that there is no issue that cannot be solved if you give it time and solve it with its own time. No touch papira, but wo papa. You know, namuyombya Mark to Sime Eddie Karota Uganda, Nick Waboyi, Adama Desmond, Walugembe Geoffrey Ben Kako Juma Ali Rashid Jagenda, Zas David Kaje VIP, Chintu Mark, Vobia Edgar, Paul Sema VIP, George Bob, Muyombya Mark, Lubura Chris Fitness, Iguma Jonathan, Starch Events Louis, Lucky Mose Owen, George Senkubuge, Travel Live Log, Ronald Muchwa, Lawrence Omuri, Dr. Kasuri Matia, VIP, Stephen Omuri, Job Owaichu, Stephen Omuri, Ankumaze, Council Patrick Asiku, Enoch Waters, Nakate Christine, Chairman Zach, Kambes J. Henry, Modern Juice, Ronald M. Kasunda, VIP, Micho Selector, Richard Damulida, Semanda Raymond Serubu, Victor, Sebugwao Medi, Daniel Mark, Aijuka Blair, Sechitoriko Norman, Danny Okene, Albino Ola, Katwena M. Benjamin, Samuel S. Cheke, of course, Jano Bearings, Wazise Sara, Nkuhe Douglas, Natuha Bailon, Luinda Jimmy Dex, CS Justice Equality, Natuha Bailon, Maze, Richard Damulira, Bamazeyo. Subarus with eyesight is another thing. If windshield is replaced, whoa. Another, if he was driving in high revs, then definitely the piece bearings are gone. The crankshaft may need regrinding, put new bearings plus a new oil, else we might soon get a Caesar. Chairman Zach, we have all those options and it will be solved by, I'm going to be the one to first drive that car. I'm going to document the entire process. I am going to drive that car on the bypass in Gitwale Quick. This is the Mareo Express, Mareo Bypass. Any other fault after that? Guys, thank you very much for being part of the broadcast. I wish you a very lovely day. Question Friday. This is Zim. I'll be telling you that. May the good Lord bless you. Bana mutusabire Alphard. Ciao.